Plus, I should push out to folks that I am indeed streaming. Oh my god. Manage live now. Well, hi there, everybody. Um, Need a better way to share. There we go. I'm not sure. I want to share myself, please. Can I share myself? I should have a coming soon or starting soon screen. I'll get around to that, I guess. Uh, Scott's on. I wonder what he's doing. I can't see myself in the app. That's a lot of fun. So I have to do Discord promotions the hard way. Not fun. Live now. Autocorrect suit. Live Joe. I'm not Joe. Twitch dot TV slash 9 of 12. 9 if 12. No. And it's not doing the HTTP and all that garbage because it's not sharing. Oh my god. I give up. I swear. This is so I had this laptop that my friend gave me to be able to stream. So excited. This laptop. I'm going to be eventually moving things around so that it all sits better. But um, hmm, my mobile dashboard disappeared. That's okay. Um, I'm new, can you tell? So this is actually officially, I guess, the first cooking stream. I'm just having trouble being able to share it everywhere, which I would like to be doing for my friends. Back to channel. I'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. I don't think I'm going to share to Facebook just yet. Share. I can copy the link, but I don't have Discord on the laptop. See, I need mods. I really need mods. To give me the help with this getting better in the future. Although I'm a Twitch mod and I'm in the mod club, so I definitely have friends and tools to be able to do something really cool, like use a bot in Discord that will put it to all the streams that I'm allowed to promote on, which is a bunch because I do, communities of people that I like and are friends. Well, that's inconvenient. Let's shut off the ringer. See? Pro level. I'm not going to be editing this too much. It's going to be the best way to do this. Alright. I just won't worry about sharing this far and wide right now. Anyway, so what I'm going to do today is show you how to care for a wooden cutting board. I realize a lot of people don't actually know that you have to do things to them. Now, they get their, people worry that wooden cutting boards are not safe or hygienic or they keep germs in them, and that's all really overblown, overhyped. Um, there are ways to prevent and that kind of thing from happening. I don't like plastic cutting boards for any number of reasons. They do still get scratched and bumpy and not smooth. You're putting waste into the environment because eventually it's going to wear out no matter what, and then it will not biodegrade like a wooden cutting board will. They are terrible. They're really rough on your knives. Um, this is ew. And I understand the convenience. I mean, if you love that and that's what you use too, because you can throw them in the dishwasher, do not ever do that with a wooden cutting board. You can bleach them. Again, don't ever do that with a wooden cutting board. But I can tell you that the things you worry about with stuff like food bits or bacteria being get in, um, there's several ways that this is prevented. Now, this is, I'm going to turn it around because the brand name isn't relevant. This is a cutting board oil. It's mineral oil and you want a food grade because there are different kinds. Now, you can use things like linseed oil, but those are usually put out in a product that's for finishing furniture and they're boiled or double boiled and they have additives which will actually dry the wood. You do not want to use anything like that. It's not very expensive. I got this for I think $11 at Lowe's Hardware today, um, and it's easy to use. It doesn't have a smell or a taste or anything, and it's good to have in the house because you do occasionally need to recondition your board. I'm going to treat this brand new one and then I have sorely neglected. This is my regular, I use all the time, kitchen cutting board right now. And you can see how it's kind of dry looking in the middle here. Um, you can use steel wool and outright like sand down and buff out a wooden cutting board and then recondition it with an oil. A lot of times cutting boards will come and they've already been, oiled. You can tell it's got a sheen. It's very smooth. Um, and that's fine. It's never going to hurt to add more. Um, and even if it says, no maintenance, like bamboo ones and stuff, it still can have a benefit to go ahead and condition them now and again. Um, cuttingboard.com, just cuttingboard.com, has a really good guide to be able how to clean and wash and properly take care of a wooden cutting board. I love the way they feel. I love the way they look. Um, and again, the environmental factors at play. So let me start here. Now, when you first get a cutting board that is not really conditioned, this is my friend Scott gave me this. He used to work for a company that handled wood products in some way. So this is Canadian maple. Um, it's really nice, good size. It's got the well on one side. This is the one I'm primarily going to be using for the cooking streams. And like I'll have the well for, if I've got anything like I'm doing a meat and it's drippy. I wanted something that was flat on the other side so I can just quickly flip it if I'm going to be doing something like vegetables. After, of course, I wash my hands. But, versatility. I've got another one he gave me, which I'm going to condition today. That's beautiful wood, but it does have legs and it's a bit smaller. And I feel like I'm going to want a lot of room to be making stuff for y'all. So all I got here is I've got the cutting board oil, again, mineral oil that is food safe. I got a brush, it's like a cheap, I think 98 cent, brush. I use these, get them at Lowe's Hardware, the cheap 2-inch brush, and I use them for basting brushes, and they'd also be good for this. So, um, basically generously, oh, I gotta open the thing. Okay, while I'm properly opening it the rest of the way, it's a brand new bottle. As far as food particles or bacteria and the stuff that people worry about getting into uh, the little tiny scrapes on a wood cutting board, you're washing it with soap and water. That's getting out of there. You can use vinegar or lemon juice and that kind of acidity to give a wooden cutting board a good scrub, and it will also neutralize any kind of bacteria like that, and then re-oil it now and again. So you get pretty generous with this. Hopefully, yeah, it looks like you can see that okay. And I'm gonna brush it on. Now I'm gonna do the whole uh, both sides and the ends. Um, you want to do this a couple times the first time you do it. Soak it really good, then give it time. I've got a clean rag to wipe off excess so that I can continue to handle it. Um, you see how it's soaked up a lot. Like it is not drippy, even though I put that large amount on there because it's kind of brand spanking new but unfinished. Love it. So, along with never put your wooden cutting board in the dishwasher. When you do wash your cutting board with, soap and water and rinse it off when you're doing your dishes like normal, you do not want to lay it flat to dry. I mean, dry it off, ideally, just dry it with a towel, but also, oh, sorry. I'm going to need a rack to put this on rather than have it all get soaked up immediately. This is how I'm going to leave it to cure, well, for the oil to soak into, is on a rack. Easy enough. Because you put it on a towel, it'll all soak into the towel, which is not what we're looking to do. But put a cutting board to dry up on its edge, not flat. Because when it is, it does have some water. Um, the tendency would be, if you ever have one warp, I have. Like if you leave one outside, which has happened, unfortunately, because I like to do big cookouts. Um, if you leave it to lay flat, you're asking for it to get warped. Cooking boards they do the grain a certain way with the wood they use in them, turning like one this way and then one the other way, one this way, one the other way, basically, so the grains keep each other in check as far as warpage. So you want to dry them on an end, not lay them flat, so that they're not tempted to bow up or bow down. They're just not meant to sit that way. Okay, this is pretty nice. Oh, that's from a terrible movie. So I'm going to wipe that down with my cloth. Actually, I'm going to do the other side first. Yeah, and it's looking like ready to use. I'll probably do it one more time tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know if you can really tell the difference in the sheen, but if you've ever, I mean, used a cutting board, and like I said, they usually come with some sort of already having been oiled. But it wears out, and like they don't tell you unless it's a really fancy one you got from a woodworker. A lot of times they'll include instructions. This actually had instructions with it, I guess because it came so raw from the company my friend used to work for. This one, Brooklyn Steel Company board. It's very pretty. I love the wood. Um, but it had come conditioned and then didn't have any kind of instructions to take care of it. So, but now you know. Let's see if we can see the difference here. I think is going to be very demonstrable compared to the new wood. See where this is all dried out and faded? That's not just scratching. That is actually the wood becoming dry. And keeping it conditioned with some mineral oil, and like I said, it's not expensive, will also help it last a lot longer. If you get cracks, that's usually, whether it's you made a mistake like soaked it in water, will cause cracking because you never want to fully submerge a wooden cutting board. But also just not oiling it up now and again to protect it from the water. Look at the difference. So I'll continue across. I'm going to actually need more oil. I have sorely neglected this beautiful wooden cutting board. The back is still in pretty good shape. Um, my son does the dishes for me usually. So the end here, it seems like there's one end. He doesn't dry it off, he just leaves it to drip dry. Um, but like I said, he doesn't put it flat on its back or front, so it's never warped. Look at that. It's magically back to not having a big gray middle. um, the ends do have some drying out damage from being wet on an end when it's drip dried. So this doesn't need much on this side. The brush still has a bunch on it. And the back, it doesn't get used as much. You're not scrubbing it off as hard and as often because you're not getting food all over that side. It just gets a wipe, so that doesn't need as much oil. So, alrighty. Now back to my cloth to get off the excess. This one I'm not going to need to do a second time like the brand new one because this has older seasoning. I mean, it doesn't take out the scratches. If I wanted to do that, I would have to go ahead and sand it down, or I'd probably use, very, very fine sandpaper and steel wool after that. Oops. Sorry. I hope that wasn't too horrible a noise. But now it's just beautiful and good to go. So much improved. Alrighty. So now I got one more. I also have this cast iron trivet that I want to put a little oil on. The heating element, I'm going to be using this little guy over here for cooking in the future for the stream. And it occurred to me because I'm doing this on my dining room table. My kitchen doesn't really have the capacity for this kind of thing. And it occurred to me I'm going to need trivets because these are cast iron burners and they stay hot. I'm very used to gas stove. I love to be able to turn it on and it's good to go and turn it off and it's freaking off. So rather than ending up burning things because I'm done and shut it off, I'm going to have to move things to trivets and get used to that different style of cooking. Now, this is another one that my friend Scott gave me. I'm not sure the origins of this one, but it's I think going to be too small to do a lot of prep, but there will be things I'll do on this for presentation during stream. And it's got feet on it, so it's not as easy to flip over back and forth. But it isn't conditioned. You see, it's not shiny. I can feel some roughness to it. This wood is gorgeous. I am so grateful he gave me this nifty cutting board. There was another one he had that I looked at, and he was like, "I'm keeping this one." I'm like, "This is cool, man." There was like a Friends of the NRA cutting board. Let me do this so that you can see the difference, I think. Probably a little late on this one. Like, that's kind of cool. I mean, it makes sense. My dad was a hunter. Sorry, my dad passed recently. I forget to use past tense. That's new. Um, but knowing hunters, I mean, absolutely. These are a lot of folks that prepare the things that they have hunted, and a cutting board, like, really makes sense for NRA. See, it brought out that grain even more. I hope the colors show better for you on stream than it looks to me in my OBS. Okay. How much is still on here? Still a good amount. I just want to make sure it's enough going on the sides, because then the lighter wood you can't tell as easily that it's enough on there. So gorgeous. Now this is going to be a very cursory on the back, because being that it has legs, it's never, I'm not going to be ever cutting on that side, and it's not going to be washed as heavily. It'll get wipes obviously and rinses, but it's not going to be as subject to losing a lot of oil as the other one. Now it's got a few little chips over here. I want to make sure that this is well taken care of, because it is gorgeous. And again, thank you, Scott, for the cutting boards. Thank you, Chris, for the laptop um, and the desktop. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be able to be much better at one of my other shows, The Part-Time Gamers. You can find that on the Twitch channel Searanex, Searanex. I lost my purple rag, but that's okay. I've got these bar towels. It'd be great if you'd also check out my other show. I have a podcast called Tipple Theory that I do with my friend Sean Weiland, who I met through America's Next Top Podcaster. Speaking of bar towels, I got these at Aldi recently, and I'm excited because they work great. I got them because we were bottle feeding a kitten. Okay, so this one can go up here. It has legs. This one, look how pretty. I'm gonna give it another wipe down. This is my regular go-to everyday cutting board. And I've got another one in my craft room that my friend Lori gave me. Actually, you know what? This is ready for another coat right now, I can tell. So I'll be able to finish this. Lori gave me another really, really pretty one, but I haven't brought it into cooking yet. I've been using it for pressing things. I do have a Discord that should show up, or you can hit ! Discord when you're watching the live stream to find that channel and join my friends. I've been streaming for a really, really long time, I think like over 10 years, but I haven't been consistently streaming as much as podcasting and doing that on some other channels besides 9 of 12. This is going to be the home for the cooking streaming, which is I have wanted to always do. I would have loved to have a cooking show on cable or whatever, but I'm not a trained chef. I have trouble, no matter how many seasons I've watched of The Bear, calling myself a chef, um, because I am self-taught. I'm not, I didn't go to culinary school. I hadn't worked in restaurants extensively or anything. I'm a very Gen X, latchkey. Mom had to work, and I had to figure out based on what I could find in the cupboards and in the freezer and in the fridge and smell the stuff in the spice cabinet, teach myself to cook. But I am passionate about food and kept teaching myself my whole life, as well as teaching other people. I raised three sons, and they all know a good, decent bit of cooking, and I'm very, very proud of having pulled that off. And I like to share a lot with the regulars, or with regular folks who there's a lot of cooking streamers out there, and people say they're going to do basics, but they skip some very basic things. I find, like, gosh, I'm glad I know what they're talking about there. Or I try to be helpful and ask in the chat about something, because then other people who maybe are afraid to ask figure something out. Um, Feel free to join my Discord and ask any questions you want. I already have a few friends in there who've been asking some questions. So I'll probably do a little Q&A during stream time as well while I'm, waiting for something to cook or um, this is really pretty. All right, I'm gonna let this last coat of oil actually sit on here a bit before I wipe it off. And then it is already on the rack so that when I wipe it off later, it'll be all good to go. Okay, the other thing I'm gonna be doing, oh, sorry. I know I'm a little scatterbrained. I have show notes for other things, but this was kind of a whim of, hey, I gotta get this cutting board ready to go for the stream, so I may as well stream that. Um, I have I am known in my community in my town, I guess, for being a good cook. I've cooked for events and people buy my pies at Thanksgiving and Christmas. I've been doing that for some years now, um, as well as fundraising events for the Democratic Party. Politics very well may come up. I did just release a book called Cory Booker, Proof Through the Night, which is a fully edited and accurate transcript of his record-breaking Senate speech, along with reference materials that pertain to that speech. I was in politics for a long time, and I am not apologetic about that. I actually do have some education there. I went to the campaign school at Yale for a bit. Um, what else did I want to say? I guess I'll let you know other neat things I am planning for this stream. So we got Senshi over here behind me. I'm working on a cookbook that I've been planning for since spring of 2024, um, based on Delicious in Dungeon. I haven't been able to find the person who owns the IP, so it may end up being a fan cookbook. But some of these streams will be recipe development for that cookbook that I want to put out. If nothing else, it'll be a fan cookbook, like I said, and put out through Amorphous Publishing, which published my recent book. What was so there will be chance of failure as I develop recipes. If you're familiar with that show, if you're not, it's on Netflix and it's a lot of fun. If you're a nerd, I'm a nerd. Um, I think you'd really like it. It's a group of people who uh, they're out of money, but they need to go back into the dungeon because one of their party didn't make it out, and they proceed down through the dungeon, learning to cook the monsters that they're killing. And a lot of the monsters have very obvious analogs, like mushrooms with feet. Monsters, it's mushrooms. Um, each chapter, each episode is named after the dishes that are in it. So that's handy. I've got a really great outline for that. I've got some artists, including Carter Johnson, told me she would be interested in doing the art for it. I've already started a little bit of the recipe development. I wasn't happy with chapter one entirely, so I'll be reworking that. But those will be interesting streams to watch because of chance for failure. I'm going to be doing some very basic things. I mean, like this, but also my first episode is going to, with food cooking, something is going to be potatoes. On request of Sarah Nex gave me that idea. Um, and I'll go into a little, I don't know about science, but some basic stuff that people don't realize really does make a difference with even simple dishes. I think people get intimidated by cooking and it really is easy. Um, People get hung up on recipes and measurements, and I'll probably, when I'm cooking stuff, give you a rough measurement. Unless I have measurements and I'm sharing recipes. Again, another reason to go to the Discord. I'll share recipes in there. Um, but a lot of times I wing it, and the cooking's better for it. And like I'm going to talk about baking a little bit too. People think, well, cooking's an art and baking's a science, and I used to be a big believer in that. But not so much. I ended up kind of diving into making bread when I moved to the South, and it's way more forgiving than anyone gives credit for. The few basic like chemical, this is how that works things, and that's the game changer. So anyway, a lot of tips, tricks. There will be shows where currently in my household we are underemployed, and I've been having to go to the food bank. Um, and I've talked to them about doing classes there. They actually are looking for funding and might have me do a canning class for them if they receive the funding that they're trying to get. Although, I mean, geez, government shut down right now, but I think it's second harvest. They're trying to get that funding through. But I thought, I also have helped friends in the past who, oh my gosh, what do I do with all I can get at the food bank is all these beans, right? Um, and I can help walk through that. So I thought, kind of see what I got or what a friend gets in a food pantry box. I have friends who volunteer there too, so I can find out like what's in your basic box this week and go ahead and make something up like a whole meal on a budget or a one dish meal. Like, just here's what you can do with ingredients because I know, again, from my friends who volunteer at the food bank, we've talked about this. This somebody comes in and they have a bunch of kids. There's like 8 people in the family, and there are bags of dried beans there, and then there's like a can of beans, and you can choose like a can of beans and a can of soup, and when you shop. But these bags you could feed everyone with. Um, but people just don't know how to handle some basic things like that. Um, so I'd love to be able to get people past that. I'd like to see more dudes who don't know uh, having more successful dates by cooking. Uh, like I said, I taught my 3 boys to cook. I wasn't going to raise any useless boys that couldn't take care of themselves. And again, it was when they moved out, they could stretch their budget by a lot. When my eldest boy went to college, boy, he was like cooking a whole tray, butchering a chicken. I showed him how to do that. And so then you can get it, what, 99 cents a pound and making a whole tray of chicken. And then he took lunch to school with him and saved so much money, which is another great benefit of cooking from scratch. So, yeah, cookbook development, meals on a budget, techniques you didn't know you needed or weren't sure about. I'll be answering questions. I've already got a few, like I said, in the queue from the folks in my Discord. Please check out my throne list. I do have a wish list there. There are a few things I could really use. Um, I have the overhead camera is on a full-size tripod balanced on top of it right now. If I had an arm to do that, it would give me a lot more room for things like, oh, I don't know, food, bowls, uh, that I'm going to need to be doing a little bit of this work. What else? I guess that's it right now. There's an ad supposed to start in about 2.5 minutes. And maybe I'll stick around just for a few minutes and wait for that. I don't want a lot of ads running, but I want a decent length of video. I'll also a lot of cooking streams. I'm gonna try and keep it, around an hour, hour and a half. A lot of my cooking streamers I watch. Oh, and I also want to thank them, Chef John Long, Canara. Sorry, I've applied to the Food and Drink Club. I'm waiting to hear on that. And those people were instrumental in getting that started and have been an inspiration and answered questions for me to help me get going and do this thing I have wanted to do um, for a long time. I almost started a class back when I lived in Buffalo, and that was like holy cow, over 25, like 30 years ago. I was going to start a neighborhood class with some basics. I mean, how to make gravy. People don't know. Um, any of those things. Oops, sorry. So, yeah, any questions you have for me, feel free. Again, go to my Discord. It's 9 of 12. You can find the address here. You can go to 9of12.com. That's NINEOF12.com. That'll point you to where to get my book, where to listen to my other shows, where to get in on my Discord. Uh, Please subscribe to my Twitch. I will be backing up all of these videos on YouTube so that we've got a record for the future. And oh, I guess that's it for now. Oh no, um, if you go to my Discord, let me know what you want to call this. I wanted something related to 9 of 12. My husband said smorgasbord. Um, and I think Dine with 9 was something Shave Maddox helped me come up with. But I don't know if I really need to name the show, but I want people to know what's going to happen here. Is that it? I think that's it. I'm good at cooking, and I want you to feel good about cooking too.